Welcome back to Lost Lore. It's time to wrap up the first phase of Level Up Larp. Last time we did some modifications to this tunic and turned it into more of a jacket sort of thing, but this time I've only got a couple days for this, so it's time to add pockets and turn it into the jacket of holding, or the thief's overcoat. I haven't quite decided yet, but regardless, first thing I needed to do was add a lining. I need to get going on Level Up Larp. I have 3 days left, and for some reason I blame Maddie. But last time I made this jacket out of the over tunic that we modified, and there's a few things I want to change about it. The sleeves are a bit tight. I want to loosen those up a bit, and I might open up the armpit area for ventilation and for more room, because it is still a bit small on me, especially with a few layers underneath. I also want to add some lining and probably a pocket or two. Now, I have selected 2 different possible material types. This brown material I thought might look nice on the inside. I think it contrasts it really well, but I don't like the way it's striped. I don't know how that would work, and I honestly think this material could be used for something better. And I also have this scrap black fabric that I found in a thrift store. And I think this will be a lot more low-key and draw less attention to it. So I'm gonna go with this. So we're gonna speed run this. Since I'm running out of time, I have to basically have today to do this project and a few others. So we'll see how it goes. Because I'm in such a rush, I did not plan any of this. I just sewed one of the edges on and then cut as I went. Do I think this is a wise decision? No, don't do this if you're doing a project. But it actually turned out all right. I just cut along the same seams that the original jacket had and sewed them as I went. First off, it was still a little tight, especially with my multiple layers on underneath. So I wanted to open up the armpit area to give a little more sleeve room and open up the sides a little bit more. I wanted to give the whole thing a little bit more room because it was still a little small. I took a seam ripper and went along the underside of the sleeve and down the side a little bit. And then I went in and just did an overlocking stitch along the side, which left some unfinished edges, but I'm actually okay with that for this character.
As mentioned previously, I did not plan out the layout or steps for the lining. I simply sewed down one edge with the straight side of the fabric I had, and then made it up as I went along. With that one straight edge all lined up, ready to go, I just started cutting what I had left and sewing it along the seam that was already part of the garment. And it seemed to work out okay. There's a couple missteps, but by and large, it really turned out okay. I still don't recommend anyone do this.
Once I sewed the lining on all except the bottom seam, so I could still access the inside, we can start adding pockets. The way I added pockets was, there's a few different methods that I used, 3 different types of pockets. Let's go over my jacket of holding and the thief's overcoat and check out all of the pockets. On each side, I have one large pocket towards the bottom. And I took inspiration from Skilltree's Wanderer cloak, and I did not attach the back of the top or bottom of the pocket that allows me to slip in longer items or weapons so that they can hang out without disrupting what's inside the pocket. Above that, I added welted pockets, which basically means they're hidden. More or less. The pocket itself rests behind the lining and in between the lining and the jacket itself. And because of the way it's sewn, it's very difficult to see if it's there well in motion or if it's just open. If you see the inside of the jacket, it's very hard to see. And it just slips in so clean. It's wonderful. And finally, I did that to both sides, and finally in the back middle section, or the back bottom, I guess, the lower back area, I made this, which is basically one long strip of that brown fabric because I was running out of the black. And I basically folded it over, sewed it, and cut away the corners on the front side, giving me basically a large kangaroo pocket, inspired by like most hoodie pockets. But because it's behind me, it acts as like this secret large area that I can hide all sorts of large things. It is limited by the size of the diagonal cuts, but it's large enough for me to fit my hand in comfortably and easily access it. And because it's such a large area inside, lots of stuff can be hidden away in there. So let's go over construction of the pockets. The construction of the pockets went like this. I cut two sizes of rectangles. I cut a larger rectangle out of the black material for the large pocket and a slightly smaller rectangle for the smaller pockets. Both of these will eventually be folded up long ways in order to construct the pocket itself. For the larger pocket, you basically just fold over the large rectangle and then sew along the sides, which I did, and then turned that result inside out, and then just stitched along the sides of each pocket up until it was attached to the lining. I'm considering adding a button to the back side of these pockets to sort of pin it in place and give me the same functionality whenever I need it, but gives me the option of having the back opening closed up so it's easier to access the pocket itself.
In order to make the welted pockets, or my secret pockets, it's just a long rectangle of fabric that you attach to the lining with a long skinny rectangle of stitching that you then cut inside that rectangle in order to turn it inside out and complete your pocket. If you want to know more, I recommend you look up a proper tutorial that will teach you far better than I could. But one thing to note is I made a big mistake by sewing 3 sides of my garment before attaching the pockets. It made sewing these a nightmare, trying to get around all those corners and bunching up the fabric when I couldn't access both sides of the fabric. Do your pockets first before attaching it to the lining. Lastly, that remains is the large pocket along my back. This one I tried planning ahead a little bit more than the others by making a paper template with some brown paper that I had lying around. I did some quick measurements. I was afraid that I would run out of space, so I did make the paper template to try to visualize the whole layout. This pocket is basically just a large rectangle, 2 of the corners chopped off, and I was planning on making this out of the black fabric, but I realized I didn't have enough. So I grabbed that brown fabric and started chopping up into that large rectangle. And then I cut off the corners of that, and I hemmed the pocket seams, like the corners I cut off, so that those edges would be finished. The rest of it, I basically turned the 2 bottom corners up to match the seams of the garment, but the rest of it was completed with one pass, up the right side and then across the top and then down the left side, and that attached it to the garment. I think it turned out really well.
And once all of that was done, I had my jacket of holding, or the thief's overcoat. Let me know which name you prefer because I can't decide. And it's just got so much room. I love how easy it is to access. I can just reach into my pocket and pull out whatever I need, or if I need to grab and go, everything's gone. And it hides it really well. Most of the things are just like, can just vanish into this thing, and it holds so much more than I thought I could have, and it all stays pretty much concealed. I can fit this whole box into these side pockets. I have no idea why I would need this much carrying capacity, but look at that. Gone. And it stays there. It doesn't bulk it up too badly. It just works. And I really wanted that moment of like, wanna buy something? And it just, who does that? Who can just hold this whole chest in a pocket? This is like backpack sort of sizes. This jacket alone can carry as much as a satchel, or more even. And it's just so good how long you can just keep pulling thing after thing after thing, and it just doesn't stop. It will hold anything and everything you could possibly need. I love it. It's so good. It has so many pockets. And this will conclude phase 1 of Level Up Larp. I haven't quite decided on a name. I'm thinking Tobias, but yeah, he's got like this sort of merchant swagger going on. The character I have in mind is basically someone who was in the military for a little bit, but something went wrong. He got ordered into like a suicide mission. He was the only one to survive, and ever since he's been like an information broker. He's here to help everyone become the best version of themselves that he can. And he just wants to make sure that the world is filled with heroes, even if that isn't necessarily his role anymore. He's not afraid to sneak into somewhere or steal something. He goes a little into the shadows for that sort of thing, but mostly he's just whatever someone needs, he is there to back them up. Whether that be information, backup in a fight, something stolen, some item that is hard to acquire, he's there to make their journey the best that they can. And he's here to help the individual and almost shuns organizations. So yeah, this jacket, the Thief's Overcoat, has really just formed this character in my mind. I love it so much, and I can't wait to just sneak into somewhere and just fill all of these pockets with everything that isn't nailed down. And Tobias is definitely of the mindset that he wants to be able to sell something that anyone may need. Like sort of a motto would be, he's got something for everything and everyone needs something. I love it. It's so good. It has so many pockets. So many utilities. So many things to steal. I'm excited. Anyway, thank you for coming along this journey, and I can't wait for round 2. Stay tuned. I have a few things in the works, including some more archery videos coming up soon. So, stay safe out there, and good luck on your adventures. Pocket, pocket, pocket.